So you know what's kind of ironic? That it's actually my second time recording this video because OBS corrupted my audio file last time. But anyway, if you've been with the channel for a while, then you may know that recently, well, not even recently, quite a few months ago now, I did a video talking about why Linux for most people isn't the best option. And of course, as expected, the Linux fanboys quickly rushed into that video. But today I decided to maybe look on the other side of the coin, because even though in the video I did praise Windows, I never said that it's without fault. In fact, there is a lot of things that I hate about Windows. So today I decided to, look on the other side of the coin, as I will be going over the top 5 things, in no particular order, that I hate about Windows 10. So let's start by talking about what happens even before you install Windows. And no, I'm not talking about all the telemetry and all those other annoying questions. Those are fine. I did a whole video in my Unpopular Opinion series talking about why telemetry and stuff like that is okay, because it doesn't really matter in the end. So I also highly recommend you check that out. It'll be up in icons on the rest of my Unpopular Opinion series. But apart from maybe the fact that I wish there was some kind of like agree to all button, that's not really the thing I have a problem with. The problem I have is with that infamous choice you have when you first start installing Windows, whether you want a clean install or whether you want to keep your files. And I hate it for many reasons. Number one, it's so vague about what it actually does. It doesn't really specify what it means by files. Like, what kind of areas does it keep? Does it keep your software? Does it keep any documents? Does it keep anything in what area? It doesn't say anything like that. So for anyone who doesn't understand it, it can also be a major problem. I have people constantly come to me saying, hey, which one should I choose? Because it's just such an annoying question, because they don't explain anything. And probably the most annoying thing is that it has to be there in the first place, because it's just like, why? It's Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the world, and somehow they can't really find a way around it so you can keep all your files. And what makes it especially annoying is that you can literally bypass that altogether. Like recently when I had to reinstall Windows, I actually did this and literally suffered no problems because of it. So if you're having a similar issue and you have to reinstall Windows, then try doing this. Basically go in and shrink the partition on your drive. Then go in and create a new partition and install Windows on that partition. Then it will only affect that partition. It will affect no other partition, not on that drive, nor on any other drive. So that is great, but then was another issue. That partition where Windows is now becomes C, because the OS has to be on C. So your previous main partition can become D or whatever else. So in that case, just use a tool. I believe I either used EasyOS or Mean Tool Partition Wizard to merge the two together into a single C partition. And boom, problem fixed. Clearly, it can be very easily bypassed anyway. But now let's talk about something that I know I and many others find really annoying, and that's the way Windows manages users, because it's pretty much set up like every single PC, even when you're using Windows 10 Home, which is literally called Home, it just acts like every single PC is in an office, and there's so much set up around having several accounts on a single PC and several users, and just so dumb that it does that even in a setting where you're the only one using the PC. And that kind of issue is seen in many forms. The fact that it pushes you to try and get a password even though you're again the only person using the PC. The fact that so many error messages, instead of saying something useful, just say you can contact your admin even if you don't have one. Or how about so many times when you're not treated like the admin of your own PC even when you are. So I wish there was just some switch or option to mark it as a PC that only one person uses, and just disables anything that doesn't really uphold to that. I think it would solve so many headaches, especially since I've been having a lot of them myself for whatever reason. Which leads me to my third point, how Windows handles permissions and security, which is also really dumb. So let's quickly go back to the fact that you're probably the only user on your PC, the same way I'm the only user on my PC. So why is it that if I want to get all the powers, all the permissions, I need to type in a command in command prompt to enable a super secret super admin account that actually has all the powers? Which is why can't my account have all the powers? But let's talk about those annoying run as admin things, right? They're pretty pointless, because let's be honest, what kind of level of security does it add? It's just annoying that you can't run a program normally. No, that won't work. You have to go in and run it as admin for it to run properly in many cases. And then unless you disable them, you have to click those very annoying notifications. Like I disable them because they're pretty pointless. Why can't everything just run as admin? And that also brings me perfectly to the point of how even if you're an admin, you may not have access to certain things on your PC. The whole access is denied problem is very common for many people. For some reason, I just cannot write to the root of my F drive. Like, why? Why are such limitations even there? Why are we seeing a access is denied message on our own PCs? And yes, I do get that some of those things are designed to, you know, prevent less tech literate users from doing dumb things like, you know, deleting System32 or whatever. Okay, then why don't you just have a switch? Maybe it's in a very hard to reach place that does, you know, turns those things off for us tech literate users. That would solve a lot of the problems, right? Now let's move on to something that I'm planning on making a whole other video on, because man is it a weird topic, and that is the Registry Editor. And no, it's not that I don't like the Registry Editor. No, the Registry Editor is great, and something many people conveniently forget about when they say that Windows lacks customization. Like, hey, you know all those like annoying Bing search results we get when we try to search something up? Well, yeah, those can be disabled with the Registry Editor, and a ton of other things can be changed and edited in Windows thanks to the Registry Editor. And it's just something that so many people, especially in the Linux crowd, just seem to gloss over. The annoying things are, well, one, the culture around it, and again, I'm want to go into a whole video about that, so definitely subscribe if you want to, you know, see when it comes out if you're that boring. But anyway, the main issue is that it's kind of sad that this powerful tool, and that proves that Windows can be customized just like Linux, well, it's just not really presented in a way that makes it a great feature that it is. It's easy enough to navigate, but I wish it was way easier. Windows would have a way better reputation if it just had a way simpler user interface and a way simpler way of simply tweaking all those things. Having a nice, fresh, user-friendly GUI where you can change all those features in Windows and in other apps would be great. It would break that stigma of Windows not having too many things to customize, and also would break that stigma of the Registry Editor being this like sacred thing that no one that's even slightly tech illiterate would be able to touch. No, that's all of that would be solved if they simply made it this way more integral part of Windows, where you can just easily change whatever you want. But also, speaking of Windows settings, let's talk about Windows settings, because man are they scattered at best and just completely nonsensical at worst. Why are some settings in the control panel while others are just in the settings tab? Why some settings that should belong in either settings or control panel can only be accessed from the Registry Editor? Why is it that if I try to search for the sounds panel, I can only access it by searching up system sounds? Why is it all just scattered like that? Why can't you just have one singular ecosystem, I guess let's call it, for changing all our Windows settings? Why is it all over the place like that? And something that Microsoft has been guilty of for a very long time is all the different discrepancies in the user interface between all these different modes of changing Windows settings. But yeah, I may find those things annoying, but I still think that, you know, Windows, despite all of its flaws, is still the superior OS. And like I said, if you want to hear any of my thoughts on Linux, then I recommend that you check that video out. It'll be up in the iCards. To clarify, no, I don't hate Linux. I just think that many people use it in cases where they probably would benefit more from Windows again. And hey, if you found my ramblings interesting, maybe subscribe. I have new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday, so there's tons of content to go around. Also, maybe, you know, check out my Patreon down in the description below. I say on $1 a month goes a long way and help me make way better videos, and also videos on way more interesting topics. Down there, you also on my Discord if you want to talk to me or others about this or whatever else really. So I guess I'll just leave this video here. If you liked it, subscribe, like whatever, and I'll see you all in what I make next. Goodbye everyone. Goodbye.